Tony, day 4, final day at the TUC Congress, obviously final round-up of the week. Let's just go for our speakers. First up, General Secretary Dave Ward.
Yeah, great. I mean, great contribution from Dave, as you'd expect. Dave spoke on, it was our motion, which is about reforming the TUC. And our position is the world of work's changing, the economy's changing, government's changing, and in order to be effective, to attract new workers into trade union membership, the TUC should reorganise itself, make itself more relevant, reach out, work collaboratively or collectively, if you like, across the sectors that we all operate in, which will boost trade union numbers and give the movement strength. Dave made those points very well. Unfortunately, I'll say this, there are a lot of people, I think, with vested interest in not changing the status quo, and unfortunately the motion wasn't carried. But Dave was quite clear. This discussion is not going away. The relevance of the trade union movement, when you look at the rise of the far right, when you look at the rise of the gig economy, when you look at AI, which is coming down the line, which is going to replace jobs, the need for the workers of the country to organise has never been more important. The need for them to organise in a different way than we have done for the past 157 years, I think, is what this Congress is equally as important. And so that debate's not going to go away, and we will be bringing that back to this body in the future. There was
some, obviously, to give the members a flavour of debate, you say obviously it went down, but there was a lot of supporting contributions as well, wasn't there?
Absolutely. A lot of unions got into support. In fact, from memory, more unions got into to speak in support of the motion than speak against it. But unfortunately, a number of the big unions had already predetermined their position to vote against it. But we were heartened by the contributions, particularly from the smaller unions, who recognised the need to work collaboratively. So got up in support of what we were saying and what we were doing.
So again, what continued today, what's been a theme of all week is loads of our delegation were up. We're speaking, representing the CW, doing a great job. I think I'm right in saying after David it was Lee Starr Elliott, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lee Starr Elliott from the Bristol and District Amalgamated branch. So there was a motion from the Disabled Workers Conference, which is focused more on the government's, we call it what it is, the government's attack on disabled people in society, particularly the personal independent payments. And Lee was laying out in some great detail, which I think is important sometimes, as you sometimes get a lot of speech in these conferences that are generalisations or sweeping statements. But Lee was across the detail of exactly what harm the government's actions are going to have in this area, Lee's long been a champion of disabled workers and speaks passionately about this subject, and did again so today, and on this occasion conference was unanimous in supporting the positions that Lee had set out, so that was really good.
No, it's brilliant. Our tech workers branch, UTI, made a real splash here. You think about our emergency motion, you think about quite a few mentions of the TikTok dispute. I think you've been on record as quoting them as our fastest growing, and now I think you said biggest branch, and Deji got up and made a great contribution, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Deji's first time to TUC and first time speaker. And again, I make this point about a lot of the CW speakers, is the detail that we bring to these debates. In that, this TikTok have made a decision to target 500 redundancies. Our view is that it's done purely for trade union activities, because we believe we've got the evidence of that from senior TikTok managers. But also, what Deji was pointing out is that a lot of these roles, the company says, are going to be replaced with artificial intelligence, and because we're talking about moderators, we're talking about previous debates in the week about the harm that social media can do, particularly to young people. Now it sucks them into, there's pornography, there's violence, there's the rise of the far right, and content moderators are important in that regard. And all the evidence is, and it's on record of this, that artificial intelligence doesn't bring that human touch, doesn't understand those things. And so the double whammy triple whammy, if you like, of dismissing people, doing so to sidestep trade unionism and trade union activity, which is obviously something we're going to stand against, but also the harm that's going to do to social media going forward. So again, great contribution from Deji, which was carried the motion on standing up to that and fighting against that, and taking that fight to government was carried by the conference.
I think I'm right, and I know your encyclopedic mind will correct me if I'm not, that you were our only other speaker today, is that right? Yeah, so let's talk us through what you were up to at the rostrum today.
Well, there's an emergency motion submitted by Equity, the Actors Union, because they were on the wrong end, as we see it, of a High Court judgment last week, where, in a nutshell, people who want to get work in stage and theatre now have to pay to be on what is a glorified agency company. So, but the way the judgment was written sort of allows other, if you like, agencies to call themselves, if you like, a special vehicle, special purpose vehicle, for the sole purpose of providing that. And, you know, there's a real danger in the future. And you talk about AI, the gig economy, people applying for jobs, is that before you even want to apply for a job, you have to pay to be a membership of an organisation that will then send your, if you like, application or CV to an employer. You know, we know in the industries we represent that there are some companies that, if you like, have what you call exclusivity agreements with certain agencies to provide staff for certain services. And whilst we understand why they do that in those circumstances, there's a real danger now with this High Court judgment that, you know, people who are not in work are going to have to pay just to have the chance of applying for a job or being recommended for a job through an agency. And I just think that's fundamentally wrong, because, you know, the poorer in society are not going to be able to do it. And if they're not able to do it, they're not going to get a shot at those jobs. If they don't get a shot at those jobs, they're going to remain unemployed and they're going to remain poor for a long time. So what Equity is saying is, you know, they need a High Court challenge to that, and they want the rest of the trade unions to support them that, and also to raise the awareness in other industries of why the scenario we've outlined, and I tried to outline, and my contribution really matters.
Thank you, Johnny. It's been a great week again, isn't it? Have you got any final thoughts on the week from a CW perspective?
Again, like we said it at the end of every day, and we've said it in years previous. You know, CW comes here to work. You tell by the speakers we've had today and in other days, and the speakers that we tried. We were hoping we were going to get 2 other debates today to get speakers in, but they weren't called because we run out of time. So, you know, the CW comes down here to work. And we do that, as we've explained with the motions that we spoke on today, for the wider good of the trade union movement, for the wider good of our members, and for the wider good of workers in general, so as we can move forward, representing our members in the workplace, but building, if you like, a working class, building a movement that fights off bad employers, that fights off bad government decisions, fights off bad court decisions, and so we can all move forward as well.
Thanks, Tony. In your current role, this is your final TUC conference, isn't it? As also the leader of our delegation. Just one more thing. The guys who are on the delegation wanted me to show you this, if I can. I'll kick it off. I think we can. It's a few minutes, so if you bear with us. Oh, Tony, it's me. Next to you and on screen is a bit weird, isn't it? I'm going to say thank you for doing the roundups for me over the years. It's been exceptional. Sometimes I've got pages and notes, but you just sit through it in such an encyclopedic way and smash through it. Your passion, your commitment and your knowledge of the movement, I think, is unsurpassed and unrivaled in our union, mate. And when you got up during the week on that wages not weapons motion, I think it was the best speech undoubtedly at the conference. And what was so skillful is, like, no notes, nothing. The speed at which you replied, you've done that for years on the NEC and conferences and stuff. Top class, mate.
Well, it's a great pleasure to actually say something about you, Tony. That was a fantastic speech today. Really summed you up, shows your passion. It's just a pleasure to listen to it. Great. Cheers, mate.
Tony, we're really going to miss you at the TUC. Your instinct on the positions the CW should take, and your knowledge of other unions and the goings on around the Congress Hall is second to none. You really, every time you speak, you influence the debate. Even yesterday, we seen you deliver probably the best speech I've ever seen at any TUC Congress, and it definitely shaped that debate. We'll miss you, but we won't let you go that easily, because we're going to need your advice going forward, I'm sure.
Right, there's so much to say about Tony. Where should I start? My first TUC, he really encouraged me to get up there and speak and was behind me. We had lots of discussions, and he really explains things and makes you understand why we're supporting and why we're behind something. He's going to be such a great loss, and he showed us how it was done yesterday with his mighty speech. And Tony, it's going to be so sad because we're really going to miss you.
Hi Tony, I want to obviously wish you the best of luck in the future, and I just want to say your sort of contributions and your experience at the TUC has been wonderful, and I've learnt a lot. And certainly your contribution today was tremendous. Good luck.
I've been coming to the TUC for quite a few years now, and Tony's always been one of my favourite speakers to watch, to be perfectly honest. He's always had a real clear position on things. He's cut through things, and he's taken a lot of like strong positions that's gone against like the prevailing way that some of the bigger unions are trying to push things. It's always kept that independent point that has come from obviously our CWU policies, and he's asserted that really strongly. Always passionate, always on the right side in my view, and he'll definitely be missed.
So Tony, I'm going to be really sorry to see you go, because there is nobody in this union that is more knowledgeable about all the most important things that we need to understand, and that's things like rules. It's about decisions we've made in the past. It's about policy that we've made as a union. You're the go-to person to put it straight on any of that. I also really appreciate all the sage advice that you've always given me, and I genuinely am going to miss that, because what I love about you, Tony, is you tell it like it is. It's always the right advice, because it's always straight and to the point. And if you disagree with something, you make sure that we know you disagree. You're very respectful about that. And I just have really appreciated that for probably 20 years. So really going to miss you. Wish you all the very best, obviously, for the future. But we are, as a CWU, going to really be a little bit stymied whenever we need to check some of those things that you're the go-to person for.
I just want to pay tribute to Tony Kearns. His commitment to the wider trade union movement, as well as obviously our own members, has been second to none. Anybody who sees Tony up at the rostrum knows what a fantastic speaker he is, how razor sharp he is in dealing with these issues. And I want to say, Tony, you've been a brilliant comrade and trusted friend as well. Somebody who's been by our side for all of our members, but also the whole of the movement. You only want one thing, and that's the workers to win. And I really appreciate the stuff that you've done for so many years.
So I know, Tony, you're not someone who would ever seek plaudits, and I know probably you look at that and probably feel awkward knowing you. And obviously there's months and months and months to go to discuss, like you know your time in the union and everything like that. But the team led by Dave really wanted us to reflect on the TUC, given your contribution to the TUC, and I give you the chance, I guess, to say any final thoughts or any message on the importance of things like the TUC to our members.
Well, I mean, you're right. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, it's part of me. I know we laughed and joked in the week that Roy Keane. It's like I stood to the election to a job, and I knew I came with the job, and that's my job, and I bring to it whatever it is I can bring to it. You know, I don't know what I could talk for hours, as you know, but as Karen says, just get to the point. The point is, that praise is nice, and I will carry it with me, and I know those people, and I know they mean it, and I know it's heartfelt and sincere. But through all of that, it's not so much about me, or it's not so much about anyone else as individuals. It's just, we do this because we believe in the power of the working class. We do this because we believe ordinary workers, again, I keep saying I hate that phrase ordinary, but ordinary workers need to come together and make sure that they exercise their power to build a better workplace to go and work in, to have the best terms and conditions you can possibly get, and to build a fairer society. And to be honest, that's why I joined the trade union movement, and I believed it then, and I believe it now, and I'm not going to stop believing it. All this is just those people are the ones that are going to carry that forward in the future. So thanks for all that. That's all.
I didn't think we'd end the week by, as a Liverpool fan, you being the CW's Roy Keane, but there we are. Put that to the side, because we will be back in a couple of weeks at Labour, both of us, every day as well. Take it easy, everyone. Thanks for joining us all week as well.